I worked on the home page first because that's where most people would land. But because my next step is going to be to start like cleaning up those transcripts and getting that text onto the blog post pages, is I'm now customizing the page for the individual blog posts. And so going back to what I said about this color palette that I have is I'm going to experiment with it, see how it goes. I might change my mind in the future, but for right now, just to differentiate between the different kinds of content, I'm using color. So I want to have like a custom blog post template for each one of the posts. So based on the category, I'll be able to, like, let's say it's a book that I've read, that would be Schweet Life Mind. And so with that, it's like the yellow color. If it's an exercise video or a video of me, like, running or something like that, that would be a body post. So just to kind of visually help to categorize the content and to differentiate between the content. And I think it just makes it visually interesting. The default colors are like black, gray, and white, but I want the punches of color to have meaning to them. So what I'm doing is here I started just basically creating like a custom template for the blog post. So in this case here, this is for like body. So I have like, there's a featured image here, which I don't really want because I'll show you. So let's say we go into this blog post here. Like I said, there's just the video. So what you see is like you have the YouTube video, which I'm fine with that being at the top, but I didn't account for it that the title is going to be all the way up here rather than down here, which isn't the end of the world. But there's this featured image, which is what you see on the home page, and I don't actually want that displayed within the blog post, because I feel like you have this image, then immediately below you then have this YouTube video. I don't really like the look of it. So instead what I want is that I know for each blog post I'm going to have a YouTube video at the top. So I'm going to get rid of this featured image here. Hide this. I'm going to save. And we'll come back in. And refresh. Nope, that didn't work. Okay, so I've gotten it fixed. Basically what happened was I realized that I just needed to come into the blog post and change it from the default blog post template to this custom template. And I'm going to actually switch it back because this isn't the right template. But basically I know that it works. And from here, what I'm going to do, like this white space down here, that's where I will then add in my text. So I feel like this works better, or it matches what I want it to be, which is I don't need the feature. I want the feature image to show on the on like the home page and on the blog post page, but I don't want the feature image to show within the blog post. So I've gone ahead and removed it, and this here now works for me. I just went ahead and added in some placeholder text. I've got it about where I want it to be. I went ahead and I removed the little archives sidebar item just because I felt like it was making the page too long. And I've got it to about where I think I want it to be, but I need to make some adjustments. Now, when I look at the header, previously it was like quite tall, I felt, and I've just scaled it down a bit. This is now at 150. I want to say it was at least at like 250, 300 or so. So like a pretty large size little header, like subheading bar here with the title. The accessibility recommendation within the template, like initially I was thinking what I've been doing was this like rich red background with white text on top of it. When I put it in, it said, oh, that like the contrast was off and it wasn't going to be good for accessibility. But looking at it, I feel like the black against the red background Like I don't have vision problems and I find that difficult to read. So that is something I'm going to adjust. It's going to be more along the lines of what you see here in the YouTube thumbnail. And I also have that down in the footer. The template comes with a template for the footer and a template for the blog post header. And I went in, I've put in my links and things like that. But I want to customize it more, because specifically for the blog posts, I want them to be differentiated by category, right? Like to have a bit of a color palette for the categories. So it's the topics are related, but I want to have like a way of visually organizing the content, right? When you click on a link, not only can you look at the category, but you can also look at the color and be able to differentiate between the categories of the blog posts. So I've just been here playing around with this, and actually what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to go back, and I've kind of figured out the changes that I want to make, and now most importantly how to make them. But I don't want to mess up the original template file. I want to keep the default template as like just a clean template. So if I mess anything up, or down the road I get far down and it's messed up, I still have that original template that I can go back to. I'm going to stay with this, with working with this copy that I've made. And once I get this to where I want it to be, at that point it's just a matter of duplicating this template, and then I'll have everything how I want it to be. All right. So what I want to do actually is I'm going to come in here. I want to change this to white. So that's our title. We can save that. I can come back to this blog post here, refresh, and I think that actually looks better. I like the contrast because if you look up here at this navigation menu, it's a white background which looks nice and clean. You have this striking black text on it and like my logo, and then I like that down here you then have this pop of color and it's white. So I feel like you get like a good little bit of like visual contrast between these two. I've got my footer here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down here into this custom footer, and I'm going to change the text here to white. I've got this saved. I'm going to back out of it. Created a custom footer. Yeah, it's a pattern, right? There we go. Okay, so this is my default footer there. I'm going to leave that as is, and I'm going to come into this body, Schweet Life body footer, and this here I'm going to change the text. So I want the text to be white. This here I want it to be white. And to me, I feel like that's a lot easier to read versus the black. So I'm going to save, refresh this page, and I feel that looks a lot better. I like it. I think it's nice and clean, and I feel like the white on the red versus the black on the red, it's a lot easier to read. Now what I would like to do is I would actually like to have like these little sidebar items kind of match these background colors, because I feel like I want to have like a little bit more color here. I'm quite satisfied with how this looks. I like that it's clean and simple, not too much going on with the template itself. Yeah, so I feel like this is a good way there. Let's duplicate this sidebar, and I'm gonna call this Schweet Life body sidebar, and duplicate that, and I'm gonna come in and edit this. Now this search, I want to change the background from white, and what I did was when I started setting up the template was that I saved my brand colors here. So I can just switch that out. I'm gonna switch this categories, change this as well to the red, change this I'm going to go ahead, select that. I'm going to change the text to white. And so let's go to our template. I'm going to add before. Template part. Choose. And I'll select my sidebar, and there we go. And this here we can delete. And before I do that, let's save this. I just noticed I have to fix the one at the bottom, but we can refresh this just to see it live. Boom. And I like the look of that. I just have to fix this follow me on down here, but I like that. That's basically what I wanted to have. General, there we go. Okay. Alright, and scroll on down, select this one here, and I want to change the text to white. And I kind of don't really like these being this color, but for whatever reason, like, it does its own thing, I guess. Because like elsewhere on the website, when you select the social media icons, it's like either black or white, and I actually like that more. I feel like I don't like this color business here, but you know, not the end of the world. So and I do think I've got all of this set up. Just want to give it a check, make sure that it's all working. Yes, links are all in place, and we'll give that a save. Okay, and so you can see the follow me on. I'll go ahead and click refresh, and I think that looks pretty good. I like that. Like the text, I switched out the font. You know, I like the W actually. It very closely matches the font that's actually like my brand font, so I like how sharp it is, like if you look at the W. Okay, and like the E as well, I think like it's a really good match. So yeah, I feel like that looks pretty good. It looks nice and clean. And I like the little pops of color. So I think that's pretty well on its way. The most I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go back into the footer and update that link because it has my name, but you know, I could go ahead and link out to my portfolio website. So this here, and it'll be HTTPS NNP. Perfect. And there we go. And save. And I like that. I think it looks nice and clean. All I'm going to do is duplicate this template, and actually I will need to duplicate the sidebar, the footer, and then the template, because I'm going to need to change the colors in those items. And so I'm going to need duplicates of not just the template overall, but also these template parts, because I went in and changed the colors there. Okay, so here we are, hours later. And I do mean hours later. Granted, I had to take care of some other stuff. I've got the blog post templates to where I want them to be. Let's take a look. All right, so here I'll take you through them one by one. So this is going to be my body post template. So this will be like my posts for like exercise. I've added in categories, which is on the default, but it's like before the content, and I actually don't really like that. So I've moved it down to the bottom. So the categories, so this way when you create a blog post, you'll assign a category to it. that should, I have to remember to change the template, but the category will be listed here. Whatever tags I enter will be listed in this line here. So it should help people to better navigate and to find other content that they find interesting, because one of our goals is to keep people on the blog. I added in these little buttons here, so it'll help you to navigate the blog post. You can click on them, especially once I have more posts up. You can click to the previous post. You can click to go to the next post. Down here I have like the related posts, and then I also added like these little dividers just to help keep things nice and neat looking. Down here we have like our comments. This is just like the default template that I pulled in. I felt like there was no real need to make any changes or adjustments to that, so that's the main area. I thought that I would be able to, like how I created, this was actually the first template that I created, that I would be able to just duplicate it and then just make duplicates of it, change the name, and then just change the colors accordingly. Didn't work out that way. As it turns out, I would have had to create like it's called a pattern, and reuse that. So I do have like patterns for like my banner block, and I did end up creating a pattern for the body of the blog post, and I just used the default of the header, the sidebar, and the footer. But then what I did was I could use that to then create a template, pulling in that that sidebar and then adjusting from there. But it ended up taking a lot of time to figure out. But the point is that now I have it worked out. Here I have now 4 versions of the footer. So this is the default footer, and then I use that to create these other footers where I change the just change the colors and the names accordingly. So I was then able to pull that into the templates, the different types of templates. The same thing, like if you look in the general patterns, I've also created 3 versions of the sidebar, or 3 customized versions of the sidebar, so I could just easily pull that in. But if we now go back out to the templates area, and we'll click on my custom templates, you can see I now have 3 versions of this blog post with the sidebar on the right. I don't think I'm going to need to do all of that for the pages, at least not yet. But maybe it might make sense to do it for the pages, because like for example, I'm going to have a page for the different categories, and then later on if I add products and things like that, I'll probably want pages for those. But at least now I have an idea of how to customize these templates and then to be able to replicate them. So hopefully it'll be smoother sailing moving forward. Let's actually go to one of the blog posts to show you what it looks like. This is like a live blog post, and this is using the body blog post templates. You see it's like in red. I've got my ads and whatnot going on. I like the heading. And if we come here to this one, where this is just using the standard template, I'll open up this page so you can see. You see it's that default gray. You've got all this on the sidebar there, the default gray background. But what I can do is I can come in here, and at template, I can just click on this. I can change the template. And in this case, this is travel, like national travel. So that's going to be my sole template. So I can choose that one. I can save it. And now when I come to this page and I refresh it, it should change to the blue. And there we go. It's not one thing, it's another. So that's going to be something I'll have to adjust. If you notice the footer here, it extends across the screen, whereas this here cuts off. Like there's white space on the side. So that I'll go in and fix. I don't know how that happened, but for the most part, it's where I want it to be. So I'm going to go in and tweak that, but this is basically how I want it to look. That, like, you choose the different categories and the color should differ accordingly.
Thanks for tuning in. To ensure you don't miss any episodes, subscribe to the channel,
click the notification bell. Go ahead and click that thumbs up button if you like what you saw, and go ahead and share it on social media.